Good day, everybody, and welcome to another segment of Lifi'n Talk. And today, my very special guest, Dr. Rose White. Dr. White, thank you so much for being here, being my collaborator and my mentor. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Liz. It's
Yes.
always a pleasure.
Yeah, so today we are going to talk about a topic that I think at one point or other we've all had experiences about carrying a weight that we weren't meant to carry. So, letting go of offense in our lives and really finding freedom. So, what does that look like? Um, and I think today's topic in regards to that is really offering some really good strategies and maybe points for you to think about. And you know what? Nothing's worse than keeping things inside. You got to let it go. So that's what we're here to talk about today. And when you hear the word offense, what comes to mind for you? And I'm going to open it up, Dr. Rose. What comes to mind when you hear the word offense?
Somebody, you just hurt my feelings. We that word offense is, sometimes we carry our feelings on our shoulders. And so the first thing that I think about, when we think about offense, my feelings are hurt.
Yes.
There are things that there's a misunderstanding here, and I've taken it personal.
Yes. And I think that there's a difference between us being hurt and living offended. When you say, Dr. Rose?
Definitely, because being hurt is something that is that's inward, is something
Yes.
deep. But offense sometimes is a personal thing. It doesn't have to even be real. It's something that we've taken on. We might have even misunderstood a thing, a word, a person, and we've misinterpreted a thing, and so we've gotten offended by it. But a lot of times when we are hurt, now we're dealing with something that's completely different.
Yes.
That's an internal pain, something that is deep, not necessarily something that you brought upon yourself. You didn't mistake, it wasn't a mistake about it. And it is something that is very deep. It's a mental, seriously a mental thing.
Yes, and I think that offense takes many, many different forms in our
Mhm.
lives
Mhm.
because we could be offended by what somebody said to us, and maybe it wasn't necessarily a direct comment, but we took it that way.
Yeah.
And so there is a very big difference between being offended or taking offense to being hurt. And I think that one example I have that personally happened to me is definitely you have people that maybe that you've worked with in the past, and you don't necessarily fit in.
Yeah.
So you have great work that you maybe do,
Yeah.
and since you don't fit into the crowd, um, or you're not considered part of um, the character or the characters, then maybe you don't have validation, and so that's okay because words can hurt also. Words can offend.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes we hold things that no longer serves us within.
Right.
And that is also not necessarily a healthy thing mentally, and sometimes it manifests in your health. So I think that this is a great discussion that we're having to really make you realize that what life is too short. So we need to find best practices to kind of get over that hump and getting rid of what no longer serves us.
Absolutely. I want to add something. You were talking about offense and looking at something at work, I think about an example as well of working, particularly maybe in a group. I've done much work in churches, and let's just say, you've worked so hard to do the best that you possibly could do, to be the best that you possibly can be, and you felt that you were in a position for a particular assignment, but yet someone else comes right along, haven't even been there as long as you have, and they are granted that which you just automatically thought that they would consider you because you've been faithful, you were always there. And so now, because you feel that you were overlooked, now you have become offended. And the problem is you think, well, how do you overlook me when I've been here all this
Yes,
time?
yes,
I've put in the time, I've put in the blood, the sweat, the tears, and you're going to put somebody else that you just brought in, only been here for a week. I've been here for 10 years. How does that happen? All of a sudden now we
yeah,
are offended.
yes. And I would say also too, looking at yourself and asking yourself, because we all have to ask the question, why do we hold on to things?
Right.
Why do we hold on to things? And many things that could be that you feel, because they're real emotions
Yeah.
sometimes, and that could be a fear,
Yeah.
that could be maybe somebody, maybe you think somebody didn't do you right, or some kind of injustice, or maybe um, some kind of hurt. So we need to examine, what are we holding on to, what emotions we're holding on to, and how can we let some of those things go, and what is the past is the past.
Yeah.
And really, as life coaches, that's a valid point that I really want to stress, is that that's what we work on.
Yeah.
That's what we work on, is really working on with clients some strategies about moving forward,
Yeah.
and looking at the past to learn, but moving forward.
Yeah.
And so, Dr. Rose, what would you say about that?
Especially when it comes to, we're going to say women particularly,
Yes.
because we as women, we tend to be incubators. So we just hold everything inwardly. But we got to begin. One of the things that I have to share with my clients, which the bulk are females, is that anything that is not bringing about a peace, anything that is not allowing you to be comfortable on the inside, with who you are, what you've been called to do, or who you've been called to be, then you have to make up in your mind that you've got to release that and let that go. You've got to turn that loose, because if not, the bitterness will hinder you from progressing. That bitterness turns into unforgiveness, and now that unforgiveness puts up a blockage. It puts up a wall, and it keeps you from being able to progress into your better self. And so you have to learn how. And one of the things that I do question many of my clients is begin to ask them to talk about those types of things.
Yes.
What brought about a situation, a circumstance? How could it been different? What would you recommend? What are the things that you're looking for? What are you expecting? And then when those questions begin to be answered, then all of a sudden there can now begin the releasing process. But a lot of times when offense comes, there is no talking about it. There is no discussing of the issue or the problem. So therefore, all it does is fester. It stays inside. But the moment that you're able to confront the issue, to talk about the problem, now you're in a position to
Yes.
come up with a solution to get over that problem.
And I would say another question is, you probably have people in your life that you've come across. It could be family, it could be friends, that you think have offended you. But guess what? Maybe they never apologized.
Mm.
So, how do you get over um, that feeling and find peace from the situation, even if it's unresolved? So, what would you say the top three ways to find peace from a situation that's unresolved? And maybe there will never be a resolution because,
True.
people will be people.
That's true. People are going to be people, that's for sure. And you're not responsible for how people treat you. My belief is you're responsible for how you treat people.
Yes.
And so when we can release that, I would think that's the first thing, being able to release. Secondly, making sure that we are in having the right attitude.
Yes.
Attitude is everything. Attitude determines your aptitude. But thirdly, it is what we see, how we comprehend, how we take in a thing. So when we can begin to make sure, okay, I can't change a coworker, a family member, a friend. I can't change how they relate to me, but I can make the decision on how I'm going to treat them. It does not matter. So once you make up your mind, first of all, again, it's a mindset. So making sure you change your mindset. Secondly, making sure that your attitude is right at all times, and just recognizing that you are going to make that decision that you're going to treat them right, even if they've already decided they're never going to say I'm sorry, because some people that's not even in their DNA. They're just
Yes.
not going to say I'm sorry.
No. And I would say to that also is you be the change driver
Yeah.
because you're in control. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, somebody else, you're waiting for somebody else to apologize what you think that would solve that particular problem. And sometimes apology will never come.
That's right.
And quite frankly, it's okay because you can let go and choose to take the higher route.
Yeah.
And so you can do the work within you to get over that hump. And you got to get to a point where you decide it no longer served me. Why have I been dwelling on this thing, on this person?
Right.
Because it's not worth it. And so you have to value yourself enough to do the work within you to drive the change. And so how do we choose freedom? Because also that prevents, offense also prevents us from being free.
Yeah.
From the thing, from the person, from the situation. Because again, apology also leads into what if there's no forgiveness. Right. In that situation, what do you do?
Right. Well, again, it goes back to you're not responsible for whether they forgive you. But if they have offended you, now you have a responsibility. And so my question has always been, is there anything that that individual has done? That is my question that I normally ask my clients.
Yes.
Is there something that the individual has done to you that you have not forgiven them for? And so now, okay, it's about your responsibility. My responsibility is making sure that I always walk in a state of forgiveness. Everything we're not going to always understand.
No.
Recognize
No,
that.
not.
But maturity is about, it's not to say that you won't forget, that this is something that you're going to forget, because it's something that can be deep. But can you walk in forgiveness? You absolutely can. And the moment that you walk in that place of forgiveness, now real, true freedom now steps on the scene. And one of the things that I always teach is that I can always tell when a person has truly forgiven a person. If you constantly are reminded about what the person does, and if you're constantly talking about what the person said, what they did, how they acted, you haven't walked in a place of forgiveness.
So
yet.
in other words, what you're saying is they hit the replay button
Every day, all day. And so therefore, it's a rehearsal. But the moment forgiveness come in, you can walk, you can see them cross the street. It don't faze you. You can hear their voice. You can see them. It does not bother you. You don't even think about it. Your life is progressing. And one of the things that I will say that I always suggest, when you get so caught up in what your purpose is, you don't have time to even think about what another person has done to you.
No, you really don't. And I would say I'm not going to sing, obviously, because there was a tune that came. But make your own kind of music.
Absolutely.
Make a new tune.
That's right. Create your own
Yeah,
atmosphere.
create
That's
your
right.
own atmosphere. And one other practical step in creating that freedom and letting things go is really you creating a new visualization
Yeah.
of yourself,
Yeah.
and where you don't want to carry any
Yeah.
more baggage.
Yeah. 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 Because carrying stuff will make you sick.
Yes.
It really, I mean, literally, physically, and especially when we deal with unforgiveness. There are people that are suffering with sicknesses and diseases in their bodies,
Yes.
all because there's some unforgiveness. But the moment you release that thing, you let it go, I mean, from the abundance of your heart, where it no longer affects you. A lot of times you start to feel better. You even start to look better. Oh my goodness gracious. And so, and so my thing is that it's better to walk in that freedom by walking in forgiveness, because then you are free indeed.
Yeah, and I think that there's some really valid tips that we can give you here today, which is really create an atmosphere that you want to live in. You don't
Yeah.
have to live in somebody else's shoes. You don't have to modify yourself to fit into a situation. Just be the authentic you.
Yeah.
How does that start? Being self aware. It's so important because in the seasons that we go through in life,
Mm-hmm.
we're not the same person that we used to be.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
And so that's really important. And start your vision of where you want to go in your life. And sometimes letting go of offense sometimes involves letting go of people, Dr.
Yeah.
Rose, wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely, definitely. And you talked about seasons. In the natural, we got spring, summer, winter, fall. Seasons change. Things change. We change. And so that's the whole thing. When you talk about, you create your own environment,
Yes.
you create your own sense of peace, and you have to be aware of the feelings that is around you. Some people call it the energy that's around you. You want that which is positive. And so create whatever environment that you want. And if you're in an environment that's not conducive to what you want, change it.
Thank you for that. Any final, I think you said it all, but any other final words that you want to kind of leave the viewers with?
My only word would be, this is your season for everything being positive and everything looking up.
I love that. Thank you, Dr. Rose. And
You're
I would
welcome.
say, you know what? Enjoy every day because it's a gift. And so we really thrive when we're in peace, not chaos.
Yes.
And so, what is it that you need to work at in your life to get you to a place called peace? So, what do you want to let go of today? Because it's very important to be self-aware that we're here today and we're feeling offense, but what do you need to let go? What are the things that are causing that? Acknowledge it, give it name, and then let it go. And so it's a work in progress. It's not easy, but it's definitely, you know what, if you really make it intentional to start the work within you, you're going to be so much better. And that's on your way to becoming your authentic self. And so I want to encourage each and every one of you today to let things go. And you know what? Just enjoy the journey of you and the journey of your life. So if this segment encouraged you today, I want you to subscribe, hit the bell notification, and share with others because this is what we are here to do. And Dr. Rose, where can they find you? I also definitely suggest reach out to Dr. Rose. She's a master life coach. She is so knowledgeable and she has been a fantastic mentor to me. So, where can they find you?
Thank you so much, Liz. My website is www.elevatepathwayscoaching.com. I look forward to being able to work with any of you. And please know that with Liz, you are in good hands.
Thank you, Dr. Rose. Well, until next time, wish you a wonderful day and we will see you very soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye now.